Hey everybody, welcome back. Stephen here, Northwest Small Batch Brewing. It is time for a full brew day. Today is kind of an interesting one. I got this idea because there is a fellow homebrewer and friend out there of mine that I'd love to have him get back into making videos, and I don't know that he's still doing many beers, if he's still homebrewing much, but he was really into it and part of a homebrew club and doing competitions. At any rate, so this is sort of inspired by him. I don't know that he really drinks this all that much, but I didn't even know about this, I think, until he told me about it at some point, and that is this Bock. So he hails from the great state of Texas, and this is a beer that is made in the great state of Texas. I've never really looked at the label. Bock. It's got a big ram on it. It says every drop of Shiner is brewed in Shiner, Texas. Well, that makes sense why they call it that now. I'm just looking for the ABV real quick here to see, because what I'm basically doing is a clone of this, and we'll compare and see if I can make a better version. Because honestly, it's not that great of a beer. I'm just saying. 4.4. All right, 4.4. All right, so my recipe is pretty close. So the original gravity on this one's going to be 1043 expected, 1011 final gravity expected, making it 4.2, so slightly lower. Although if you know my beers and my recipes, I always end up a little higher. So being 4.2 means it'll probably be 4.4. We'll get into this real quick here with the grains, and then we'll get started. So for the grains, go down the list real quick here. I am using 36% two-row. You could use, I'm sure, Pilsner or something, but yeah, I don't want to do that. So we're going to use two-row. I'm going to use about 30% Vienna malt, 26% corn grits. Now, that is what makes Bock, is the corn grits. It has to have corn in it. And I just picked that up at the local grocery store. 6.4% Great Western Crystal 60. And rounding it out here at 1.8% roasted barley. Like 500 lava or so roasted barley. I will probably put in, I always throw in about a 5% of oats for head retention and mouthfeel. Even on lagers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to make too much problem with, haziness. And I like what it adds. And then I always throw in a couple handfuls of rice hulls to help with the water, the wort, being able to flow through the basket and everything, and keeps things nice and moving. All right, so I'm going to throw all of that into the mill it up. A lot of people suggest you mill twice to get a better, smaller, finer grain. Make sure you don't miss any. I've done that, but to be honest with you, I haven't noticed a big difference, so I've gotten away from that because it's just extra work having to dump it back in. It creates a bunch of dust, that you're breathing in when you're trying to re-grind already ground mill or grains. So I just do it once these days, and then we will be good to go. All right, so with the grain being milled and the water is all set up and heated, we're ready to mash in. I am mashing in at my typical 147. That's worked well for me. Probably makes it a slightly drier beer than might have on paper, but I like that it works well for most beers for me. So that's what I hit at. So we'll mash in, let that sit overnight. I do an overnight mash, so I just let it sit and keep it at that temperature all night, and I'll be back in the morning to continue on. All right, so it is time to drain the main grain. It's the next morning. Clearly, the mashing is done. It's mashed all night. Shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to drain the grain and pull that off, and then start heating up the water to a boil, and then we'll get going with the hops. All right, so since we're out of boil, it's time to add the bittering addition here. So I'll go over that real quick. I am using this, there's a couple things that I'm nervous about here. First of all, I wanted to use something called Brewer's Gold. I'm not sure that's what this is. It's hard to tell. Brewer's Gold, 8 alpha acid is what it called for. This is actually 11.5, so this is more bitter. And I'm kind of okay with that, but it's more bitter than it should be, or what I would want. It does say Brewer's Gold on this. I take it back. It just doesn't say Hopsteiner, I don't think. It's weird because it looks like it's a glued-on label that, like, the brewing company just made a label and stuck it on there. That's why I'm like a little nervous about it. Also, I had to get it on Amazon because I could not find it anywhere, and so who knows how old these hops are. I don't see a date on the package, so God help me. Yeah, so this is 2 ounces. I only need like less than half an ounce for the bittering hops, like 0.4 ounces. So I'm going to use the rest as a late addition, just because. I could dry hop. Actually, I might dry hop. Let's see. It says notes of peppery spice and black currant. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I might go ahead and dry hop the rest of this instead, because God knows I'm not going to use this probably again for another 10 years, you know, this style of hop. So I might as well try just to use it all up. So I really only had 1 hop addition for the bittering. So what I'll do is use, you know, 0.4 ounces for my recipe, and then the rest will be a dry hop. Because it's really a little high for doing a late addition. I don't want to bitter the beer even more. Anyway, that's the hops. All right, so the boil is done. Hit my numbers. I'm going to go ahead and do a no chill. Basically, what that means is that I put the lid on the pot while it's still hot. Usually, it's at least 170 degrees Fahrenheit, which is still within you know, range for keeping things clean and sanitized. I wrap the lid with saran wrap. When it's this hot, it causes the saran wrap to kind of shrink and cause the seal, or it seems to anyway. I've never had an issue. And then I just let it sit overnight rather than try to cool it down manually, you know, with a pump or something. I'm just going to let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow morning I'll be back. It will be at room temperature, so it won't be cold enough to pitch yeast yet, but it won't take more than an hour or two in the fermentation chamber to get it down to yeast pitching temp. So we'll be back. All right, so it's the next morning. It is time to, well, first we got to transfer the wort, right? So it's time to take that saran wrap off and transfer my wort into my fermenter. I use the pump that came with my system, although I need to get a new one. The ground on the plug just fell out. Makes me a little nervous. Probably at the end of the year here, I'll see if I can invest in a better pump. The pump that comes with my system is a Chinese pump. Nothing against Chinese, but it's not a great pump. It's sufficient, but if I need to replace it, which I do now, I might as well upgrade to something a little bit beefier. At any rate, I'll use the pump to pump the wort out into my fermenter, and then I'm going to seal it up. And, well, actually, first, let me aerate it. So I'm going to aerate the wort first. I use my drill paddle. This is stainless steel food grade. You can get these at homebrew stores. Don't use a paint-like paddle. Those are not food grade, just FYI. At any rate, there's 2 kinds. I have one that I got on Amazon that works great for mashing. And I have a different one that has plastic pieces that flip out that's better for aerating. That's what I use it for. Instead of trying to shake the thing and everything, it works really well for aerating. So I'll aerate it for about 3 minutes with a drill, seal it up, and then I put it into my fermentation chamber and get it down to pitching temperature, and then we'll pitch the yeast. All right, it's been a few hours. I'm down to about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That's usually about where I like to go. I always look at the yeast though to make sure that is, you know, within range. I like to do my lagers at the lower end of the temperature range for whatever yeast it is. It just, in my opinion, creates a cleaner. Unless you're going for a lot of strong esters, it creates a cleaner crisper beer that way. In this case, it says ferment between 48 and 50. So that's colder than I would think. Boy, I'll have to think about that, but I don't think I'm going to do it that, you know what? I'm just going to go with the 55. I think that's too cold. I can't imagine this yeast taking off at like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's already sometimes takes me a few days to see activity at 55. Anyway, I'm going to use this Baja, CellarScience Baja yeast. This is actually a Mexican yeast. It is a cold fermenting Mexican yeast. Produces clean, crisp lagers. So I think this will be good for the Shiner Bock. I realize it's not a German yeast. I do, but I think that it will work well with this either way. Anyway, there you go. So Baja, CellarScience. I'm going to go ahead and pitch this out. Hey everybody, welcome to the end. You have made it to the final tasting and the results. First, let me say, this is not normal. Long story short, I have a Nuka tap spigot, and it has a flow control on it. Kegland came out with a brand new shuttle that goes inside of it. It's supposed to improve it and make the flow control work way better. I have to say that it did not work, and it creates tremendous amount of foam on every pull. So I'm going to be taking it off after this beer, but that's why the head looks like that. I mean, it's got good head retention, obviously, but it should not have. It shouldn't pour like that. So that's the reason why this pours like this. But let's get, you know what? Let me get another glass so I can really compare the two. So Shiner Bock, this is a clone that will hopefully excite Jaggers Brewing to come back to YouTube. This is a Texas beer. Straight up lager. And I think I said this before. It's not my favorite. Nobody's favorite. It really isn't. It's not terrible, though. It's a very malty lager. Well, you can already see a difference here in the head retention. I know mine, the tap didn't help, but that is a crazy difference right there. The original here, Shiner Bock, is 4.4% ABV. Mine ended up at 4.8. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not spot on, but it's pretty good. 1044 original gravity, 1008 final gravity. I've already gone through everything else with you. So color-wise, it's a little hard to tell because there's condensation on the glass. I'm holding it up to my studio lights. I gotta be honest, you probably can't see it in the camera. Maybe you can, maybe it'll look different, I don't know. But to me, right in front of me, the color is spot on. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Aroma-wise, you get, like I said, a lot of malt. Not a lot of hop character in the in this Shiner Bock. Kind of sweet and malty. And on mine, oh, that's significantly different. Wow. All right. Yeah, there's really hardly any hop aroma or anything on the actual Shiner Bock. Mine, I'm just looking off the side here. So I only use one kind of hop, and it's a bittering hop. I did not dry hop or anything. So it's got to be the yeast, but I'm super surprised at how much more aromatics are on mine. Wow. This was a yeast. Well, I have this written down, so hopefully I'm not wrong because I don't recall, but I have written down, and I think I did use this, Baja, right? Baja CellarScience yeast. Never used that yeast before, so kind of spicy. Okay, well, let's try the original here. I mean, I've had it before, but pretty standard to low carbonation. Like I said, very malty, malty sweetness. Not really any hop presence. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't jump up and down to get this particular beer, but I mean, it's not bad. No off flavors or anything. All right, here we go. Carbonation's good. Wow. Okay. Mine is significantly smoother. Way more mouthfeel. Not as much malt presence on it, on mine. Much more drinkable, to be honest. There is a flavor in it, though, that I can't quite put my finger on, and I think it's coming from that Baja cellar yeast. Is that right? Is it cellar yeast? Baja Science yeast, sorry. I've never used it before, so. Yeah. Oh, it's like a maybe caramelly sort of. I'm not sure. It's not bad. It's just if that is the normal ester that comes from that yeast, I think you would recognize it if you used it again and again, because it's pretty easy to pick out its flavor. So I would say, as far as clones go, they look the same. Mine actually tastes better, has better mouthfeel, smoother. If I could get rid of that ester from the yeast that it's giving off, like I say, it's not bad, but I would rather it not be there. That being said, the actual Shiner Bock is much more kind of harsh and maltier and not smooth at all. So anyway, there you go. I actually would recommend making this because it is significantly better than the original, in my humble opinion. I will probably send some of this to the aforementioned Jager's Brewing and see what he thinks, comparing the two. It'll be probably later in the year, but it'll be fun to get his opinion. At any rate, thanks for stopping by, staying through to the end, and hey, cheers and go brew something.